say those things all over again?
Yes, please. Sorry.
Linda said, don't bother. If you have a quorum, she's working in Quidnet and Cisco and in and out. And so we're good to go, I guess.
Okay, we have a quorum. So I'm calling the meeting to order. And the first bit of business is approval of today's agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Allison.
Any discussion? Okay, how about a second? Can I get a second? Vanessa.
Yep, I'll second.
Unmute.
I have to get a roll call vote, so I'm going to go down the list. Allison,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Jude,
Yes.
and myself. Yes. Okay. Next on the business.
I'm here. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're with us, Susie.
Susie.
Thank you.
Don't forget me.
Oh, are you going to approve the agenda? I'll take your vote on
Well,
that.
I couldn't, you didn't say my name.
I didn't because you weren't there like 3
I
minutes.
tried to get on a while ago, but it didn't let me in.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah,
mean-
that's on me. Apologies there.
Not again.
I'll not forget you from now on.
I'm just kidding.
Everybody has gotten the minutes of the last meeting of February 3, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Can somebody make a motion?
So moved, Allison.
Allison. Any discussion or comments from members of the council? Okay, I have a few minor things. And Diane, are you there?
I am.
Do you have them in front of you?
No, I do not.
Well, these are really minor things like spelling of names. So if I can ask for approval to just submit these changes to Diane offline, I'll do that. Is that okay with people? Can I go down
Yes.
the list? Allison?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Jude?
Yes.
Susie? Susie? Susie?
Yes, yes.
Mary Ann, yes. Okay, I will do that offline. Okay, now to the official business of the meeting. The first item on the agenda is our plan for the seniors of the year 2021. And the subcommittee that was established at our last meeting is Linda, Allison, and Diane. So does Allison or Diane, do you want to take this on since Linda is not here, since this is the most important thing on our agenda today?
I asked, so I worked on the nomination form, and Laura sent it around to everybody. Do we want to make changes to that? Do we want to have any COVID specific thing, or do we want to keep the nomination application exactly the same?
Comments from members of the council?
Same.
Part of me thinks just to have it be the same would be sort of nice, instead of having to throw COVID into it all. I mean, if people want to, mention that in their nomination, they can, but it would be simple. It could go out tomorrow, for instance, or very soon if it were the same. So what do you think? I think as important as that, we should look at a calendar and pick a date. When is it traditionally? Do we know?
Actually, Allison, Laura put the dates at the bottom of her new draft.
Oh, I didn't see the new draft.
Looking at her latest draft. At the very bottom, it says all nominations will be due by Friday, April 30. And we will make our selections of the two people who win the contest on at our May meeting, which is just a few days later.
Well, that sounds perfect. Let's go with it.
Okay, I have one change, Laura, and that is at the very top. You've left last year's date of 2020.
Well, I didn't know if you were going to do both years. You know, last year and this year, because we missed last year.
Correct.
Did
Is there
we-
any discussion about that?
How about we take two women and 2 men?
Just because, you know, when we have the plaque up there, I mean, just for looks and everything, if you skip a year, you know,
Could we possibly call it 2020/2021?
Well, why not pick 4 people?
I have a reaction to that in that, let's see how many nominations we get. If we're overloaded, then let's pick 4. But if we don't get that many nominations, we may not want to leave this decision open till we have more information. But that's just my opinion. So anybody?
If you have enough, I'd love it if there was 2 plaques, one for 20 and one for 21.
Anybody?
I think that we just need to drum up people to nominate other people. I mean, it's last year we had, I mean, the year before we actually did pretty well, and I think people are a lot more used to doing things on, I don't know.
Do you think since we canceled it for 2020, if I remember correctly in our meetings, could we do the 2021 slash first of all? And do the plaque? I mean, discuss that first before we go on to 2 or 4 members.
So I think because we in fact did cancel it. However, I can think of a few seniors who actually like went beyond in regards to like COVID and communicating with the town and communicating with other people. I don't know if, but like Marianne did say that we shouldn't do anything really COVID related, but I just feel like in 2020, there were some who actually stood out because of what they did, I know, does that seem odd to say it like that? I don't know.
No, I'm just wondering if, I mean, we didn't have one, we canceled it because of COVID, so maybe that will be a mark in the sand when it comes to looking back at what was going on. Maybe we shouldn't have a 2020.
Any other comments? Do you want to put this in a motion? Would that feel better, Allison, so that we get some closure?
Well, let's maybe combine a few more things in a motion. I don't think we need to have a motion whether we do 2 years or not. I mean, when it comes to the plaque on the wall, we just won't, maybe we can have a commemorative, something for all the people who succumbed to COVID or something, instead of having a senior of the year, we could have, I don't know, an acknowledgement of the people who died of COVID or died this year. I don't know. I'm sick of COVID.
Well, in terms of the senior of the year, I think if somebody has done an awful lot because of COVID, they will automatically be recognized for that as the senior of the year. So I don't think COVID should be set aside as some special contribution, because other people have been making significant contributions too. I just think if it's a COVID related recognition, that's what it will be. But if it's something else, then it will be something else.
What about skipping a year? Anybody?
What do you mean skipping a year? You mean skipping 2020 and going to 2021?
Yep.
I'm
Well,
sorry. Sorry, Diane.
It's just that we had voted to skip it already, and I thought once that vote was made.
I agree.
I agree.
Vanessa?
I guess, I mean, technically, the year the senior was 2020. However, that was canceled and whatnot. Have we gone back to the town and asked for the year of 2021 to be the senior, or do we just call it a day?
Well, I'd like to say that's a different issue altogether.
Yeah,
I guess the only reason why I'm saying that is because, like, we called it Year of the Senior for 2020. That was then gone.
Right.
We're voting for Senior of the Year, but if we already canceled the Year of the Senior, then why not cancel? You know what I mean?
yeah, I think we need to skip 2020.
I-
Yeah.
Right?
I do agree.
I agree.
So shall we take a vote on that? Do you want to make a motion?
Motion to vote.
So the motion would have to be something like we're agreeing to skip 2020 and make this the 2021 Seniors of the Year.
I think we already skipped it, so I don't think we need to skip it again. I think we should need to move along with the 2021 Senior of the Year.
Right. We already did. That's what I meant. We already voted on that.
Okay, in that case, Laura, the year at the very top of this nomination form should be changed to 2021.
Okay. And then I'll put it out on the newsletter on Friday.
Well, let's figure out a few more details first.
Okay.
Like, what are we going to do for the virtual award ceremony?
Well,
Is there an opportunity? Is there a chance that we might be able to gather when it comes to June? When is the luncheon usually?
it's in June usually.
The end of June.
The last Thursday in June.
Actually, Allison, I'd like to see a complete publicity plan for this whole thing, because it's not just Laura putting out the newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it would be nice to have a whole publicity plan and for you to rely on any and all of us to contribute.
Well, tomorrow we're filming the Frank and Mary show. And so I had asked Linda and Diane, I did send them an email, not through Laura, hope it's okay, just to see if either one of them could be on the show tomorrow to just talk about what our final plan is now. And that would be one public service announcement regarding Senior of the Year. I think Bill will pick it up. I think, do we ever advertise in the paper?
That's a question I have too. I mean, I actually started thinking about all the things. I have a press release that was intended for last year that never went out. So if you want that, that's a draft to start with anyway.
Okay, I think, did we write it together, Mary Ann, or did you write it?
We might have written it together. I don't remember. I just have it. So, it's ready if you wanted to start by editing it.
Yeah, I got a big fat file on, Year of the Senior too. So you can pull out a lot of that stuff.
I also had an idea, if you can't get Linda or Diane, how about interviewing last year's Seniors of the Year? Jeanette and Peter Richards.
I think we did already once, but that doesn't mean we couldn't do it
Frank
again.
and Mary?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
I think we did Jeanette. I don't know if we did Peter, but that was 2 years ago.
So I got your email yesterday or last night. What time was it tomorrow?
It's at noon. Is it Zoom meeting at noon?
Yeah, I don't think that I can do that one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is sort of, I'll have Arthur interview me. That's fine. I just wanted to maybe get somebody else in there.
Right.
But another time we can do Frank and Mary, obviously anytime, but I think people we're looking to reach out to are not necessarily people that watch the show, but we need to get the nomination in the arms of everybody we know.
And what about a poster, Allison? You're terrific at making posters that can be used in so
Sure,
many different ways.
I'm sure I already have one. I can just edit.
Oh, that would be great.
Or else I can, make one up. So that's not a problem. NCEA could put it on their Facebook page or hey, Jericho, How can the town help spread the word about the Senior of the Year nomination form?
We can definitely move any of the documents, et cetera, that you guys produce. We can put them onto social media. We have, they can be brought up and mentioned during select board. And I think there's a few other angles, permanent spot on a web page, on one of the town web pages, probably the Salt Marsh web page. And then we can have Florencia, the public information officer, kind of regularly schedule some updates to social media as well.
And so would she be somebody that we could ask to help us coordinate this sort of, I don't know.
Like PR rollout?
Yeah,
Generally, given that she's working on a lot of stuff, you would put a request for something for her to do to me, and then I would bring it up to her and act as kind of the cutout between you guys.
Okay.
Just that's how we've been doing it on a couple of other committees and panels.
Could we put it through the Chamber of Commerce or Visitor Service?
You absolutely could. I believe Chamber of Commerce is not a town entity. I could definitely send it to a couple of people at Chamber of Commerce for distribution as through their media channels as well.
I think that NCEA is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, so are we working with them on this, or is this just us?
I
did-
know the most recent NCEA meeting, they had mentioned Laura, right? They were talking the topic of the Senior of the Year award did come up at the last NCEA meeting. I believe they were willing to be supportive. You could then reach out directly to them on those to see if they have any resources or anything they could bring to bear. And if they are a member of the chamber, then they would be a better contact to raise some publicity in that particular field. Yes.
Okay, so Chamber of Commerce town website.
Town social media, there's potentially, depending on the cost, we might be able to scare some money up for a I&M ad. I think that would probably be a pretty solid place to go as well.
And then I'm sure Bill, I'm sure Daybreak would do it.
And what about radio spots, Allison? We did those when we did the Elder Expo.
Right.
I wonder if we could write some radio spots.
I think we were interviewed before, and that was like just a public service announcement, but that wasn't the. I think Randy and I did something on the radio, but I can't.
They were public service announcements.
I would maybe suggest that when you guys reach out to Daybreak, that Daybreak, they're affiliated with the radio station, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so I would maybe say that would
Well,
be.
actually, they're affiliated with NCTV.
No, they are.
Oh, they're the radio. You're right, they're the radio.
Well, NCTV might also be a pretty good option too, depending upon. I mean, I know somebody in this particular council has a TV show that they get every once in a while.
Well, that's why that's why I'll have as a guest one of our board members, and then if we get and so we can do like 2 or 3, like every month until June, we could do like an update, a 5-minute update on the Senior of the Year. But we really want to get people to nominate people who aren't necessarily seniors. So that's why finding a way to get the news to people, because seniors can nominate seniors, but anybody can nominate a senior.
How about Nantucket Year-Round Community on Facebook?
Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, I believe, and I'm going to double check with someone who knows afterwards, but I believe you guys could, I mean, in your personal pages, you can definitely share that to Nantucket Year-Round as citizens. And then I don't think that the town can post on there in any meaningful manner, but individual members of boards and councils can. So I, for example, could not have, like, we could share stuff on the town's Facebook page, but the town would not share an official anything on Year-Round Community. My guess is that the best way to approach that would be that members of the board would members of the council rather would sort of just post it on like when at your time. I don't believe there's any restrictions on you guys doing that on your personal email or your personal Facebook accounts.
I only have 3 friends, so I'm not a good person to do that. Whatever I post, no one ever sees it, so I don't know who has the biggest.
Well, I think that the other thing to do would be to mail the administrators of the year-round community page and ask them if they would post it as the hosts. That would be another thing that you could definitely do. That I don't believe it should not run afoul of any issues or regulations that we have on in terms of communicating.
Well, so I guess a poster would be the best thing. And a link in the poster to, we have a fillable form that we have used before, so that might bring in a lot of people in. I don't know.
My advice on sharing would be to produce a JPEG or a GIF image that's easily sized for sharing, and then have that be your poster. Basically, just save the poster as a JPEG, and that's the easiest and most shareable format for you to put stuff out in.
Yeah.
And then you get one poster and you just give it to everybody and then let them start sharing it afterwards.
Yep. Well, we can work on that at home.
Well, you can work on that at home.
But
I cannot work on that at home.
you can make sure that it's the format that works for your people then.
Yes.
Okay.
And Laura, because you're giving out 70 dinners per month, it would be great just to put a nomination form in with every dinner.
We can do that tomorrow. We're giving out 80 tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's actually a really good idea.
that's a very good idea. Let's get this and I'll print them up.
I want to make sure that the fillable form is, that might be easier for people to do. I know it's easier for me to do. I'm not sure if it's updated. Did I send that to anybody? Okay.
Allison, I'd also like to suggest that we reach out via either a phone call or an email to all of our sort of colleagues like Sherry Hunt, like Ella Finn at Landmark House, the Homestead, just so all of those people who are really part of our community serving seniors, that they're all on top of this and can answer any questions and know what's all going on.
Yeah, we could have them put them in everyone's mailbox at Academy Hill, at
Great idea, yeah.
How about having a poster at the VFW for vaccine time?
That is absolutely something that I will bring up today during the vaccine planning meeting.
Thank you.
Allison, is there any way that there could be a sort of formal publicity plan that could be left for next year's Seniors of the Year, so that there's something that can be passed on from year to year?
I should look in my file, because I got a fat file on this, so I can share that file, or how do people? Does anyone want to look at? I can share the file with any one of you if you'd like to see what's in there. What's the best way to
I
memorialize
would
it?
like it.
Okay.
And I can share with the rest of the board.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'll take all the pornographic material out. Just kidding.
Are you just kidding that you're taking it out?
Yeah. No, I'll like clean up the file so there aren't 5 or 6 duplicates in there. Because it's full of crap. All right, I got a bunch of stuff to do.
Well, you should feel free to ask for help from any of us.
Okay, I'll do the poster. And then Jericho can do some town stuff. Someone else can do the Facebook year-round community stuff and deliver the flyers with the nomination forms to the various other senior living areas. Does that sound okay?
I'd be glad to deliver flyers. This is Mary Ann.
Okay. Who wants to do the Nantucket year-round community.
I don't know anything about Facebook, so.
Um,
We'll see if we can find someone. Maybe, I wonder if
Linda,
I-
she posts a lot on Facebook.
she does.
I think she does. She sometimes does. She's active there.
Yeah, she's pretty savvy about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well then
Yeah,
let's
no,
nominate
but
her to
right-
do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mary Ann, you're the person who goes to the NCEA meetings, right?
Correct. I did make this announcement at the last one, and I'll remind them, this one is 2 weeks from today. So I can ask for volunteers there if you think you need volunteers. But I'll definitely make sure that they're all filling out a form and nominating some people.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone should nominate somebody.
Yeah,
And if they don't win, they can just nominate the same person next year and keep the paperwork already
correct.
together. So, all right. And so then what the, let's just think a little bit about what the celebration is going to be like. Is it an award ceremony? Is it, what can we do that will be fun for people who participate? And so the people who get invited are the NCEA and the COA, is that all? And the people who are nominated and their family?
Yes, and town administration people.
And usually the volunteers at the Salt Marsh.
Do the Civic League get involved in that?
I don't
Not that
think
we know
so.
of, no.
No.
But we can personally ask anybody we want to fill out a nomination form. Can we nominate people?
No,
Um,
No,
because we're making the decision about them, we can't nominate them.
right.
since 2020 was a year where we were all home. And I'm glad we can't nominate someone, but where would someone look for that volunteer in a year that, we are all at home?
Well, Vanessa seemed to know a number of them. Vanessa, are you still here?
I am.
But she
Oh.
works with them. Just say I'm Jane Normal, thinking of a volunteer who's been home all year. I wouldn't know where to look for senior. That
Medical field,
Hmm?
medical field.
Yeah, like a doctor or a nurse, or even someone who works at the Stop and Shop, if they're a senior.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the people that popped in my head that's a senior is Annie Backus. She just retired. She's been at the hospital. She did, she was involved with the whole COVID thing, and that was one person. And I know that she's over 60.
And Brenda, how old is Brenda Johnson?
I know.
64, 65.
She's old enough because she's a member of the Salt Marsh.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting getting
Medical
people that are
field.
different than the ones that are always nominated.
Yeah.
Yeah. get different-
Also, someone like Margaretta Andrews, who started the emergency fund at the Nantucket Community Foundation.
You're good at this, Vanessa.
Well,
Thank
although
you.
Technically,
Yeah.
I don't think you can be nominated because you did your job. If you receive a salary, it's not really volunteerism.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, we'll just have to dig deep. It doesn't, it could be someone who,
Is Brooke Moore,
Berkeley, that's what I was thinking of.
because of the whole masks and getting the fabric together and whatnot.
well, she's 60. She's, I think her job is a volunteer job, isn't it? She get paid for any of the stuff she does.
He does not.
Yeah. Well, there's a winner right there. Well, so we'll let other people worry about that. Since we can't nominate people, let's just worry about getting the word out and having a big party or doing something in celebration after after blowing off last year. Be great to have, like everyone pick up a luncheon and go to their favorite beach, or, I mean, instead of, I mean, how can we make it special for the people who win?
Couldn't we do it outside? Under a tent, if anything?
Jericho?
Well, there are going to be revised guidelines coming down the pipe as of March 22nd that would allow outdoor gatherings as long as social distance is respected. But you would be anticipating doing this in June?
Yes.
Then I can give you, I have no idea what the guidance is going to be like there that far out. There is a definite chance that we could hold something outdoors properly. So yeah, yes, you can start planning on that way, but it's 3 months out, 4 months out is too, I can't give you any actual guidelines on what it's going to look like then.
Can I suggest that this be an item on our next meeting's agenda, which will give us a whole month to plan
Sure.
whatever it is?
You
So
know,
it would be a separate.
maybe we could dovetail with town meeting. When is town meeting gonna be again?
June 5.
All my rentals.
Because if we could have, use the tent setup that town meeting's gonna use for our socially distanced luncheon, then it would be,
I know that the
I don't
planning
like
on the town meeting is, let's say, chaotic right now. So I don't know how much you want to couple your wagon to that horse in terms of using similar infrastructure, because I know they're drafting off of the high school graduation ceremony as well. So I don't know how stacked that's going to be.
well, since we'd be doing a luncheon, but anyway, yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see we're 70 people. Is that our maximum, Laura? 70?
Our maximum,
Like how many people go to the luncheon usually?
well, it usually depends on what NCEA wants to pay for and what fairgrounds had room for. But if you did it in fairgrounds parking lot, and you wanted to be less people this year anyway.
We do?
Well, just because we're just getting off the tail end of all of
Right,
this.
right.
We don't know what we're going to be up against come June. Bigger doesn't mean better.
Right.
Smaller groups sometimes are better.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get the poster done. We'll worry about the celebration later.
I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion on this topic?
No, but I'm gonna email, sorry. Yep, Allison, I'll email you my number, my telephone number about tomorrow.
Okay, I mean, or else, if you don't want to, I mean, I can do this initial part. That's fine, but somebody else it'd be nice for you to do the next one as we know more about where we're gonna have it or whatever.
I'm gonna try to get my hair cut at that time.
Haircuts are really important.
Yeah, I can't see through my bangs. All right.
All right, so I don't think,
Anything else on this topic?
So I'm just changing the date on that form and it's good to go out.
I think so.
let me just take a look at the
Let
bottom.
Allison have the last
Yeah,
look at it.
Laura, let me make sure that the fillable form link is what we want, because I don't want to have to change that, and I want it to make sure it works, because people lose the piece of paper or something. I want them to be able to. It's great if we can fill them out online anyway. That's
Yeah. It's better for my newsletter also to have it that way. Definitely. Okay, just let me know when you're good to go.
right. And when I get I'll work on the poster sooner rather than later, and then email it to Laura, and then get it circulated to you guys for comment, so we can maybe get that out before our next meeting. Does that, think we can do that without a meeting, approval of the poster?
Won't we use the poster long before our next meeting?
I hope so, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be only my, I don't want to be solely responsible for any mistakes on it.
Well, why don't you send it to Laura and she can send it to all of us
Great.
and we'll comment.
Okay.
Anything else on seniors of the year? Okay, we'll move on to the next topic, which is the Inquirer and Mirror coverage of the senior community. And Jude is taking the lead on this, so I'm going to turn this over to you, Jude.
Okay, but I didn't hear exactly what you said.
Oh, the Inquirer and Mirror coverage of the senior
Okay.
community.
I spoke to Marianne and she is so game to do it. They need a writer. And I think, I mean, my idea first was just submit some stuff like a story on this senior. But I think her idea is to look for a regular writer like Sarah Chase or Susan Simon that does it twice a month with so many words per, I don't know what we call it, column, you know. And
All that noise.
I don't know. Is it Susie? Are you doing paperwork? Something was loud.
Yeah.
And so at first I thought of Susan Fernald, who was very game to do it. She writes for Edible, Cape Cod and whatnot. But in the end, she said, no, I don't want to be committed to anything.
Would they pay her?
You would get paid twice a month, you know, for your column. It would be edited by Marianne and Josh Bowling. She was very excited about it. She also would like to think of a name and said, why don't we have a contest for seniors to submit names for what this column would be? And the winner would win like a free subscription to the Inky or something like that.
That's a
That
good
was her
idea.
suggestion. And she didn't, well, because I got back to her and said Susan Fernald was somewhat interested in doing this, we didn't go any further on her looking for somebody, whether she's going to advertise for somebody or where it stands. I can get back to her on this. This was all within the past couple of days. Or I don't know if any of you want to write it or take.
What about asking Bill from Daybreak?
She said he's involved in that.
He's competition for her, so.
Yeah, it has to be an inky writer and somebody who's not writing. They like when they have a writer that they only write for them. She didn't mind Susan writing for something on the Cape, but they don't want anyone to write for something else in Nantucket. If you're writing this column or whatever you call it for the Inky, it would be there. So it's kind of a cool job for a writer who might be interested.
I wonder if Fran Cartoonin would do it.
Well, you know, I mentioned her and she thought she was a little too academic to do a column that could be.
That's what she said?
But she did. Because it's for everybody and it's not, and Francis concentrates mostly on academical, you know, whatever stuff.
Who else is a writer? Like, what about Cinda Gaynor? She's good.
I know, and maybe we could ask her. I guess I should call Marianne and say, do you want us to start looking, or can I give you some I suppose we could get some names ourselves, call those people and say, hey, call Marianne that you're interested. So everybody think of names.
What about White? What about Barbara White? Barbara White.
She would be good too. I know. So this is good. And I thought Betsy Tyler maybe, but it would have to be somebody who wanted to do, you know, a variety of things.
Human interest stories. That's
could be anything. But
and I told you, Jude, that I'd be glad to also be a volunteer, although
I know,
I'd like to share this with somebody else as opposed to having a deadline.
Right, you can get it started too.
But I would be glad to draft one just as an example of what could be used. I have a couple of ideas.
Her what she said is they pay $125 what are they called? An article, I guess.
$125?
So many words, I don't know what that is. They would have to deal with Marianne and Josh editing it. And they would love it to be a regular thing. Now, I think she should probably put out an advertisement as well to do this, because it's going to benefit the paper as well as us or seniors.
I think having someone that's in the know, like, what about Peggy Kaufman or someone in the NCEA?
Wow, they'd have to want to do it. Peggy Kaufman would be good. Maybe.
What about, I was thinking of Jim, he worked at the school.
Jim Salsa?
Yeah, how about him? Because he's a writer.
Yeah.
He's part-time in California, I think.
With his daughter, maybe, or?
Yeah, I think he's part-time helping take care of Katie.
And also think about how we want to put out the fact that we want to have a contest for a name. I mean, that would definitely put the pressure on Marianne to make sure this happens. If we mention to seniors, there's a contest for a column.
Wouldn't the seniors say who's going to be writing the column? That would be my first question.
Yeah.
What comes first?
Well, anyway, that's what we need to work on. And it's definitely something they want to do.
That's great. I like her suggestion about naming it and willingness to pay someone to do it. So.
And someone who could do anything, you know? I mean, I was even thinking of different story ideas. You could do events and whatnot, the history of Mahjong. I mean, think of stuff that's popular at the Salt Marsh and anything, wellness, cooking. Susan was excited because she does nutrition. She does, I don't know, all kinds of things. It'd have to be somebody with varied.
It'd be nice to get a couple of articles in the can from contributing writers. So when the writer who signs up for it doesn't want a deadline, there can be someone, a fill-in or something.
Well, and maybe we could start it now and get some contributor writers and get it going, like Marianne said she would, right?
Right. I mean, I can write a couple just off the top of my head, just to kind of juice the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Did you say it was I'm sorry, excuse me. Just from my nose, did you say it was $125 per article?
I did.
Okay.
That's what she told me.
Okay. And twice a month.
That's what she would like. That's her ideal idea of it, rather than weekly. But
Right.
if somebody can't do it that much, once a month.
Does it have to be completely related to the seniors?
I would think so. It's the senior. The senior. You know, it's just like Sarah Chase writes about food only.
Oh,
So I was thinking about, the gentleman who's older, who does all of the carvings, the quarter boards. It'd be fun to have him. He's got to be a senior, to write about that whole end of Nantucket. But if it's not, he's a senior, but it's not about seniors.
Well, if he likes to write and can write an interesting story, I would think it's all good. It has to be a captivating story, right?
Yeah, it's got to be, someone's got to write with interest.
There must be some budding journalists out there that just want to get their name out there.
I guess it doesn't have to be a senior either. It could be someone younger that interviews. That might be just as interesting.
Could be.
Someone.
Good point. Doesn't have to be a senior writer.
Hmm.
That is a good point. It could be anybody writing about senior stuff. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, everybody think of someone and pass the word or bring it up. And I think she did mention she'd like to see a sample of their typing work. So you can tell that to whoever you suggest this to. And I think
Who
that was
knows-
all she said.
Who knows Peggy Kaufman?
I know Peggy Kaufman.
How about bookstore people? There've got to be a lot of writers in there.
Where?
The bookstores?
Let's continue this on. I mean, let's come up with suggestions and
But I mean, I personally don't want to see this just, you know, as the months go by, that's two stories that could get out into the paper. You know, if this ends up being in June, then we've lost a few months of drawing senior attention to something fun and drawing attention to the fact that there's a big senior community out there that reads the paper.
so Mary Ann, do you want to write the first one and give it to
Yeah,
Mary Ann and just see what
I'll
she
write it.
said?
Well, I'll give it to Jude and you can pass it on and.
I will, and then we'll go from there,
Yeah,
but
you can go from there.
yeah, in fact, think of people. Even if it's just, you know, like you say, just a one time
Yeah.
your stories. Maybe somebody's got some in their back pocket that they've written long ago.
Vanessa, are there any writers at Sherburne?
That's a good idea.
Steve McCluskey,
Wow.
or I mean, I don't know if he's a writer.
Vanessa, are you there? We'll have to ask her. That's a good point.
Yeah.
How about that? What's the place in front of our island home?
Landmark.
Landmark. Anyway, I don't know who's there, but it would be nice to. I don't know who's in charge there, but I wouldn't mind calling to say, hey, do you have any writers there?
Ella Finn. Ella Finn is the
Is
person.
she
in
there
charge.
or is she in Ireland?
Oh, no, I think she works there, but
Okay. I'll
She's
get
in
in touch
charge.
with Ella and ask her.
I wouldn't worry about losing a month or two. There was just a great article in last week's paper about the salt marsh. It's a huge article, so
Yeah,
it's okay if we lose a
Okay.
month or two.
it would be nice to have a column though.
I
yeah.
know. It would be great.
So
All
great
right.
work, Jude. That's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a little murky in the beginning, but I think we're headed in the right direction here. So thank you for initiating all of this with Mary Ann.
Do you think you should do that in the Inky Mirror once a week or twice a month or once a month?
Mary Ann suggested twice a month. If she had a regular, person, but I'm sure they'd take anything if it was good. If it was up to their snuff.
Well, anybody with any ideas, please send them on to Jude
Okay.
if you think of anything before. And Jude, I'd like to put this on next month's meeting agenda again, so we get a follow-up. Is that okay with you?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
And Jude, can you find out how many words? Because that way we could maybe ask if we could get Mary Ann like 2 months worth of like 4 articles to
Yep.
get things started. It might be,
Okay.
Okay, if there are no more comments on this subject, I'd like to move on to Jericho's report. If there's-
Of course. So basically, in terms of my recent activities, still working fairly heavily with the vaccination program out at the VFW. We're currently on 65 plus, or those with 2 or more comorbidities. If the numbers that the town form gave us are accurate, we should be done with that category of vaccination inside of about 2 weeks. Again, assuming we continue to get the same amount of vaccine request, which actually looks to be fairly okay now. We're expanding outreach efforts for vaccination programs, including a variety of analog, non-online ways to spread information. We've currently set up a couple of public transportation options to get to and from the VFW clinic. We've diverted one of the NERDA lines to make regular stops in front of the VFW clinic. And then we have also set up the Your Island Ride has waived any medical restrictions as long as a trip is going to and from the VFW. Those are all available through the NERDA website. We're doing a couple of some preliminary planning stuff around increased access to the scheduling tool that the hospital is using to set up appointments, to help people without computers, to help people without necessary language requirements. And then currently in relation to the governor's revised reopening plan announced yesterday with an additional announcement on the 22nd, we're looking into some very preliminary plans on how we will go about reopening the salt marsh once that bridge can be crossed. Other than that, I believe that's the most of the stuff that I've been doing of late. If you guys have any questions on anything, please feel free.
Any questions for Jericho?
And so how do people find out about the free rides on the NERDA shuttle, or are the people?
It's being added to the scheduling tool on the hospital. There'll be a blurb about how to get out there and a number to call. And then we're also going to be distributing physical business cards with the number to call for public transportation scheduling. We're also doing outreach on the hospital's social media as well as the town social media, and it will be announced at Select Board and Board of Health meeting when that happens.
Is it on Daybreak? Because I haven't seen it. I see that the stuff advertised, but I don't remember seeing travel.
We finalized how it will work yesterday, and we've already got 3 people on the ride there, and then I will be reaching out to have it publicized in Daybreak as well.
Jericho, I have a question, but it's not COVID related.
Please, 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 please.
I'm interested in your new, I think it's new Human Services Council.
Oh,
And-
the CHS, Council on Human Services?
Yeah. And how do we have any overlap with them, because we're humans as well?
I think there is probably a degree of overlap. Obviously, you guys, everybody is human and lives on Nantucket, so there's that degree of overlap. I think right now, Council on Human Services is sort of Brooke Moore's group that she's chairing that council right now, and I think that there's definitely some potential for overlap and communication, but I think the main goal of CHS at the moment seems to be centered primarily on translation and language related stuff. And that seems to be the majority of a lot of the stuff that they're doing, but there absolutely is an overlap between, there's an aging population that has language problems and that is soon going to be under the purview of the Council of Aging. So I definitely think there is some crossover between you guys.
And we, in the past, have talked about how we'd like to get some of those English speakers to participate in the salt marsh. I mean, here's this thing available to them that they, for whatever reason, don't take advantage of. So I guess
I will definitely.
Maybe we can cross fertilize a little bit in the future.
I absolutely think so, and that's also something that I can bring up to Brooke the next time I have a meeting with her. We tend to do one about once a week or so, because she's doing some COVID-related stuff that dovetails with other stuff that I'm working on. So I think, yeah, I will definitely mention that to her, and I know that that's the kind of that's the direction she's going towards, and a lot of this stuff is sort of trying to get that cross-pollination effect going.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments or questions for Jericho?
No one's going to comment on the mask matching the headphones. I have to do it.
You already told us
But
about
it wasn't recording. Now it's recording.
it.
I
Beautiful.
did. I was going to say something about Red Riding Hood,
Thank you. Thank you very
but
much.
I refrained.
So every time I pull this mask up before I step in the office, I feel like I'm about to rob the place. It's not great. All right. Well, if you guys,
I think it's great that you're able to make those fit over the earbuds.
oh yeah, no, it's because I have a giant head, and so I bought the biggest possible headphones. Of course, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything that you'd like to bring up to me, or if you have something you want me to find out, you guys can always email me, or you can bother my mom, and she will yell at me about it as well. So either way works. Although I think open meeting law might have something to say about having my mom yell at me too much. So there we go.
I never raise my voice.
That's true. She was very much I'm disappointed, I'm not angry mother.
I'd just like to comment that everything that the town and the hospital and the Salt Marsh and everybody who's been involved with COVID has thumbs up, double thumbs up from everybody. I mean, it's just incredibly organized. And when you read the stories of other communities, we're like the stars. So that's thanks to all of you. Great job.
Thank you very much. Everybody out there has done an enormous amount of work and done a very good job.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, terrific. Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Laura,
Hi.
it's your turn.
So what's going on at the Salt Marsh? We have new floors in the Salt Marsh. So everything matches what the great room was. So it looks nice. We're just starting to get back on track. We were kind of down with computers, phones, and Wi-Fi for a little bit because we had to move everything so they could put the floors in. But thankfully we had that nice Samsung with a hotspot, so we could still Zoom our classes. So I think we only missed one class. So that was fabulous. We were having some phone problems. So signing up for dinner was a little chaotic, but we just decided we would call everybody that has signed up before to make sure we got everybody. So we do have 80 people coming tomorrow to pick up chicken gumbo, which is fabulous. So that's good. So we're doing programming. The place is looking ship shape, and I guess NCEA has more construction plans in the future. So hopefully when we reopen, we will have a new spot. And Jericho and I are getting together maybe tomorrow with Ginny to kind of start reopening plans just to make sure when it happens, we're ready. We don't want any lag because people are chomping at the bit trying to get in.
Are you putting the corrugated door closings back up?
No, that unfortunately has gone away. I believe NCEA has somebody looking into everything that has to be done since the door was taken down, and now everything has to be kind of brought up to code. So hopefully we have the code. We will see. So they're going to put in some sort of divider there that's ADA compliant and looks good. And we haven't figured out what that is yet. They're also going to replace or put a covering on top of the ceiling in the great room. They're not going to take that tile down, I guess, because it's too old and it will just be a mess. So they're just going to put some new tiling up with some new light fixtures and some new light fixtures in the lobby, and maybe some new furniture. So it'll be a nice, bright, new spot. So we'll have to have a grand small reopening, or maybe we'll have to have 10 reopenings. So everybody can come and see and learn what the protocols are going to be once that.
Gonna do another ribbon cutting?
For what? Why I look at my.
Is that Rachel?
That's Rachel. So that's what we're doing here. Maybe Rachel wants to comment on.
I'm sorry, I just realized my camera's off. Yeah, I was just making a quick comment saying maybe another ribbon cutting ceremony, as they had done that with the chamber actually before when they did a little upgrade. So I was sort of being funny, but it might not be a bad way to highlight it.
S code is 1931.
So we're doing great here. We're going to start working on our reopening plan. So we're ready when we get the get-go. So any
Thank you
questions
so much.
from anybody?
Any questions or comments for Laura?
Excellent work. You guys are doing great down there. It's good to hear.
Thanks. We miss everybody.
I bet.
We love Thursdays when we get to see everybody drive through. That's the best day of the week.
Hmm.
Slowly but surely.
Well, the programs are terrific, and the 80 people for dinner, that's incredible.
I know, isn't that great?
Great. Thank you, Laura, as always. Al, do you want to give an update on Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands?
Those meetings are really informative, but we are so lucky compared to the Cape, to a lot of the things, COVID related. They have a lot of programs that we don't, because they have SCOs, which are senior care option. Rachel, do you know what that last one is? Do you know what a SCO is?
Oh,
I mean,
I think it's just senior care options, isn't it? Is there
yes,
another
yeah,
letter in
senior
there?
care options. But anyway, we lack on a few things, but we're doing great on many others. So I don't have too much to report on that, but I do have a lot to talk about for the art classes. Can we move on to that?
Yes,
Is that next?
that's next.
Okay. So I've gone back and forth with them at the Artists Association. And, in their mission is providing art to seniors. So they write a few grants. They get $2,000 from the Arts Council for seniors for on-site art classes. And I said, well, until the state opens up senior centers, there's going to be no, we aren't going anywhere. So what can let's talk about getting something started sooner rather than later, virtually. And so, I think down the line, if we could perhaps write grants for it, but I'm wondering if we could ask NCEA to sponsor the first 5-week session. And instead of calling it art class, I think to call it a crafting class or something would attract more people. A lot of people who I've asked why they aren't joining is because they don't think that they're an artist. But does anyone know Leah Jensen? She's the Sunday school teacher at the Unitarian Church, so I know her through that. But she's teaching. Oh no, she's not teaching at the at Sherburne, but somebody is. Vanessa, do you know? Did you put together that program with Maggie Miller? Vanessa?
So we at Sherburne wrote a grant to the Nantucket Artist Council to provide art kits. Unfortunately, they were just issuing money to artists that actually lost money during, COVID. So one of the board members of the council decided to take it upon themselves to purchase. So we got those. Then I emailed Maggie and Courtney, and we actually just completed 4 Saturday sessions for my residents for Zoom. So they would log in, they would talk to Maggie, they would do the art with the art kits provided, and then after the hour, they'd be done.
And so this is what we sort of talked about. The Artists Association doesn't want to get any money for it, but they need to pay their teachers. And so if we were to hire.
Yes, Maggie was completely volunteered.
Right. So it would cost about $1,000 for a 5-week course for 2 hours a week. We have to pay the instructor for 3 hours because she or he would put together the kits and make the plan and get the Zoom, whatever, all organized. And
I'm
so-
just a tad confused because they got grants for seniors.
but it's
What
on
classes are they
It's
offered for
on-site.
senior? It's on
So-
site.
Yeah, so if we went there, we could
Yeah.
tap into that, but that's for, and there are other grants available. They're willing to work with us and I think it would be great to have a class be there because then it would take some of the pressure off the salt marsh. And as I explained it to them, this is sort of replacing the Linda Zola class that I personally participated in. And so did my mom. And people there love Linda. And so they would like to see seniors have a regular art programs through the Artists Association. And if that can be a grant written at some point after that, but I thought if we could ask NCEA to at least kick us off to see if it's going to be a program that is sustainable. I mean, the art class of Linda Zola's got down to like 3 people and sometimes only one person showed up. And I think it was largely because instead of doing something that produced a product or a card or a, something, it was a little more cerebral and yeah. So some of the things that we, could be included, felting, collage, card making. There's this thing called wasabi sabi or something that involves
With
watercolor.
tape.
Called
What?
Wabi Sabi,
We want to-
Wasabi. What's that, Jericho?
finding beauty in imperfections.
Oh, well, it's also using watercolors. So
I have a question. What about that new place that you were that people donated like, miscellaneous
Oh,
art
right.
supplies to?
yeah, Emma Young.
And my,
Is that like a full-on space to do crafts or not?
Not yet.
Okay.
She would, I was talking to Kristen Hull, who has Cheryl Fudge's, she has the Rainbow Fleet by the Rotary. I think that down the line, when people can meet, she would provide that space for a group of potential seniors or something. But again, I'd like to flip in with the Artists Association who is really, I mean, they get right back to me, 3 people on a call, and I have an interest in getting something started. And so if we could perhaps ask NCEA to fund the first one, I think it would be about $1,000, and that would be for 10 people, materials and included, and it would be great. So
would that be for Zooming?
yes. They would prefer to do it in person at the Artists Association, because then
Right.
all the stuff is there and it would be, it would be a social thing, but until we reopen it or, start on Zoom, and then, since they don't do a lot of programming during the day, and that's when we're open, they would love to have people in the building when we can. So
Allison, I
Yes.
think we would have, first of all, can I ask everybody, somebody has something going on in your house in the background, somebody's working in the kitchen or making a lot of noise. Could you just mute your microphone, whoever you are? We'll have a hard time getting $1,000 from the NCEA, which has not, their fundraising this year is well down, at least it's half of last year. But the other thing is, I think we need to show evidence that we would get enough people to make this worth $1,000. So I'm wondering if Laura in her newsletter can't get some idea of how many people might sign up for something like this, because I think if only one person signs up and they've paid $1,000, they're going to really hold our feet to the fire. And it's going to be hard for us to get money out of them for things in the future. I mean, that's just my take on the NCEA. They're very tight on funds this year, and they're spending what they have on upgrading the salt marsh. So can we find out if there are any interested students for this class?
I can put that out in the newsletter on Friday.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about it, Allison. I just think we can certainly go in front of NCEA and ask for $1,000, but the chances of getting it these days are not high.
I think testing the waters with who would be interested is a good idea. And Laura, I don't know if I can have it ready by Friday, but I think it has to be promoted a little bit. Not, do you want to sign up for this? It would be, in partnership with the Artists Association,
I can
so-
send it out constant contact at any time, Allison.
Okay.
So if
And
you want to write,
Allison, you've just done a great sales pitch that she can use all of the possibilities of what the content might be.
Yeah, great.
I just think it would be better to go to the NCAA and say, we've had a number of people very interested in something like this, so that their money would be well spent.
So another thing that I talked to them about was when it comes to materials, like if they had a materials list, people who had their own stuff wouldn't have to, because materials cost is almost half the price of the $1,000. So if people were willing to pay per person, like, can we ask people to pay $25? Probably not at the beginning, because they wouldn't want to go to it if it costs $25. I don't know. Do we have any programs that people pay part of at the Salt Marsh?
Laura?
sorry, say that again?
Are there any activities or programs that people actually pay for part of at the Salt Marsh?
The only thing they ever would be a cooking or an art class where we would have to buy materials or ingredients. And it was a $5 pay. Or when they did jewelry, they would pay per necklace, etc. So we could buy more goodies.
Because if there were 10 people and everyone paid $5 for materials per class, that would be pretty helpful. I'm just thinking out loud. All right, I'll write something for you, Laura, about it.
Alrighty.
And
So
so,
Allison, go ahead.
So it'll probably be next month before we have any.
Yeah, I was going to ask, should I put this up? I think I should put this on the agenda again for next month.
Yeah.
We'll have an update.
I'd like to start it. They'll be flexible start. They usually have 5-week sessions and they start this time, but because everyone's pretty available, they could start it when it worked well for us. So just like to get a successful art class under our belt and then expand from there. So that's all I have to say.
Anybody have any suggestions or comments on this subject for Allison?
Are all of us members of the Salt Marsh at this point, except for Jericho and Rachel? Vanessa, you aren't old enough either. Susie, you're old enough, right? Well, sign up. I'm going to sign up.
I think are we all members? That can be?
Jude, are you a member?
I can check in our software and I will send everybody a form to fill out if you are not in our software.
Yep. I've got yes. I saved it, but I just don't know where. All right.
Okay, the last agenda item is my report on the NCEA, which Laura has really already made because their last meeting was almost 95% about all the upgrades that they're making to the Salt Marsh. So the ceiling, the flooring, the lighting, I have this impression that it's going to look like a whole new place when we ever get back in there. So they were just going into the details of who's going to do the job and how much is it going to cost. So that's really all that they were talking about on their agenda. as well as the fact that their fundraising this year was way down. They may even have another mailing in order to hopefully bring in some more funds, but they're spending their money on the upgrade of the interior of the salt marsh.
Did you see the pop-up bake sale fundraiser they did last Friday? That was out in the newsletter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused by that whole thing.
It was very confusing. For some reason, they didn't have a permit for it, so they had to shut it down. And they did some sort of auction online. Somehow, you know, the people who did it are tech savvy. I couldn't even figure it out on Instagram, but I think they made it $2,000.
Yeah, it was a great idea. I can't imagine how they made $2,000 on a bake sale.
People care about the salt marsh and NCEA, so.
Yeah, sounds great. Before I ask to adjourn the meeting, I wonder if there's anything else that anybody wants to bring up.
Yes, this is on notes. When I do the report on salt marsh programs during the pandemic, I'd like to just do the upcoming programs. I've been doing like how many came to the other programs, which is very lengthy if I do both of them. So I was asking for everyone's opinion. If I did the upcoming programs of what we're doing going forward from the state each month, or would you prefer that I continue with all of the reports from Laura, like for the past programs?
I'm for the upcoming.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I just wanted, I mean, I have been doing both, but I just think it's very lengthy, although it does say how many came to each program.
Doesn't Laura say that too?
Yes, that's,
Yeah, I
yes.
don't think you need to duplicate efforts.
All right, so but I will do the upcoming, because if someone does happen to read the minutes, it has the information there. If that's what the council wants. Okay. All right, thank you.
So I've got a question. June is when the board, I mean, we need to fill Kendra's position.
Oh, I thought Kendra wanted to stay
I
on.
thought she wanted to stay.
Well, she's not here today, and I was
Yes,
just,
I realized that. I was trying to give her some, I mean, that was her desire
yeah.
when she moved, but I was going to give her a few months to decide if she's really going to attend or not.
Yeah, I mean, I was just over at, I was just helping her unpack and move in this past weekend. And I think that she'd like to do it, but I just don't know what she could do. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it might be better for, you know, to find somebody who can be an active participant.
Wait, I'm lost. Where's Kendra?
Kendra moved. She's in Centerville. She sold her house and bought another house. So, and I don't know who's going off the board in 2021. I think I am. So,
According to my notes, it's still, the notes that I got from Laura was Vanessa Larrabee, 2021, Judith Perkins, and Linda Williams,
oh,
if that's correct.
well, when am I going off?
Well, you know,
Never.
you can always re-up.
You're going
Yeah,
up 2022.
All right.
22.
Sorry, you're 2022. And just a note on Kendra, if she is not going to, you can't just fill her. She needs to submit a letter that says that she is no longer, she's resigning from the board. And then you can fill her, but her term would get filled to her term, which I think is 2022. So somebody would go on for a 1-year term while the other 3 would be filled.
Okay, I'll mention that to her because I know she wants to, but I just don't know whether, I mean, I don't know. It would be hard for her to, I mean, do you have to live on Nantucket to be a member of the Council on Aging?
Rachel?
No, it's not a requirement. You have to participate, but I mean, right now it works because most are by Zoom, but you wouldn't, obviously that person would have to come to Island once you started meeting in person, which would likely kind of equate it, but there's no set requirement right now.
Rachel, while you're on here, at one point when you called in when not attending a meeting, you could not vote, but I thought that changed. this past year. Do you know anything about that?
It has to do with Governor Baker's open meeting law order that was
Okay.
done, and any vote has to be roll call.
Okay, so then she could call in, and it would count.
Yeah, because you're not required right now to be oh my goodness, visually seen. You could have it's not required. It's been a discussion that we've had as an internal policy that if you are a board member and you're acting, especially in the interest of open meeting law, to be seen so that people know that you're not conversing or doing anything to violate the open meeting law, but there's nothing in the order that says that you have to do that. So if somebody could only call in, if there's a call-in ability, that's an option. It's just like you do with Zoom. As if they were on the Zoom, you would still do the roll call vote so their vote could count.
Okay,
But that's only while that order is in place.
thank you.
Anything else that anybody wants to bring up?
I do have one last thing. We're going to be meeting with Laura and Ginny tomorrow to start doing some of the planning for opening up. We also were intending to sort of, when we have a plan together, present it to you guys and have your input on how we should go about reopening the salt marsh, just as a thing. Probably we bring it up at some point next meeting once we have our plans all ironed out.
So are you saying, Jericho, I should put that on the agenda for the next time as a separate?
I don't know that it needs to be on the agenda. You can just have me do like another update from Human Services, and then I'll raise it there. And then should it be necessary, we can then add it to the agenda. Like you guys review could be added to the subsequent meeting agenda, but I don't think we need a separate agenda item right now.
Okay. God, that's so hopeful.
I'll be optimistic for the next week and 4 days, I think.
Why? What happens then?
That's when I'm anticipating the surge from the post vacation.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So just you have 9 more days of optimism out of me, and then
Uh-oh. Anything else that anyone wants to bring up? Okay, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion.
Second,
Okay,
Susie.
this is a roll call, so I'll have to go down the list. Allison,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Jude,
Yes.
Susie,
Yes.
Marianne, yes. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's great to see.
Excellent.
Great to see everybody, even if you're not in person. Thank you and sayonara.
Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
all right, I am going to turn off the recording now. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.